Joining us live with us also is Shehzad Poonawala, lawyer. Also joining us on the panel is Riju Datta, spokesperson of the TMC. With us as well from Chennai is Dr. Suman Siraman, political analyst. But I first and foremost want to go across to national spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party, Preeti Sharma Menon. Preeti Sharma Menon, the Delhi High Court has been scathing on the Delhi government. The Delhi High Court has observed it's one thing to have a political argument. Here the Delhi High Court has asked pointedly, what was the Delhi government doing when the allocation was made 3 days ago? If you don't have tankers, you should have arranged them. You should have spoken to the centre. You know how government works. Your chief minister has been an administrative officer. These are some very scathing remarks that have been made by the High Court. How do you explain this, madam?
Indeed, we have also explained it to the High Court that there are 2,000 oxygen tankers in this country. They are not controlled by the state government. They are controlled by the central government. And we would have liked to requisition them. The Chief Minister has written to other states if they have any in spare, we would like to borrow them, we would like to use them. We cannot order them. They are only ordered internationally by the central government. So we will keep the High Court informed on the progress, because till now, the distribution of oxygen from till today's Delhi High Court remarks, the distribution of oxygen from various facilities to the states has and was being and is being done by the central government. The central government today you may have heard a remark with the Health Minister, Mr. Harshvardhan, where he laughingly said that Delhi is getting more than the supply. They had promised us, they increased our stock from 380 metric tons to 480 metric tons. But Delhi got 308 metric tons yesterday. This is despite the Chief Minister.
Ma'am, that's because you clearly did not arrange for these tankers. I must ask you. Let me just come in over here and ask you. Over the last 3 days, how many state governments and central government departments did you write these letters to? Is that not action that's happening today after the High Court's stinging order? Why was this not done for the last 3 days?
Yesterday on live television, you saw the Chief Minister talking to the Prime Minister himself. He also asked the Prime Minister, when he is unable to reach different people in the central government for oxygen, can the Prime Minister give us one name and one number who we can call for oxygen supply when our oxygen is obstructed either in Haryana or in UP like it was. And it's not just a Delhi government crisis.
Ma'am, that's a separate issue. That's an issue of law and order. No. Preeti Sharma Menon, please don't confuse the two issues. I will come to that issue. I will come to the issue. One second. Please. I think you're...
It is a national crisis.
Madam, you're confusing the two issues. Please don't do that on national television. It is a national crisis. But please don't confuse the two issues. Issue is, did the Delhi government do enough to get those tankers on time from the centre, from the state governments? The answer to that, the Delhi High Court, if it is to be believed, is no.
Into Delhi. The responsibility
Ma'am, are you saying the High Court is lying? Are you saying the Delhi High Court is lying?
No, that is the responsibility.
Are you on national television saying the High Court is wrong?
Sorry, the High Court has assigned that responsibility to the Delhi government today.
Yes.
Till today, the responsibility
so every state government is picking up the oxygen, madam. That is what has been observed by High Court. Let me read out.
It's not been observed.
Let me read out what the court has specifically said on this one particular point. Yes. No, ma'am, this is a court order, right?
Read it out, because I'll tell you what they said.
Is this a court order? Can I read the court order?
To get the oxygen. Yes, I have read the court order, sir. The order clearly states that Delhi government will organize oxygen tankers to get the supply into Delhi, which we shall try and do. And therefore, the Delhi Chief Minister has written to all the other states.
They also say, ma'am, let me just read out one sentence. Every state is arranging its own tankers. If you're not having your own tanks, arrange them. You will have to do it. Get in touch with the central government officers. We are not here to facilitate contact between officers. This is not a request. It's an order of the High Court.
This is the suggestion made by the High Court today. And till yesterday and till today also, the delivery of the oxygen is a central government responsibility. Since they have abdicated their role, we are now stepping in and we will now arrange to pick up the oxygen from the facilities where we can, wherever the central government can supply. But let us then be very clear that the central government is abdicating its role.
Central government has abdicated its responsibility, says Aam Aadmi Party.
So then we shall
Central government has abdicated its responsibility. That's a charge from Aam Aadmi Party. Respond to her.
Okay, Madhav, I did not interrupt her at all. I am sure she'll extend me the courtesy. First of all, point number one, if you look at the scathing indictment of the Delhi government by the bench comprising of Vipin Sanghi and Justice Rekha Palli, They clearly told Arvind Kejriwal, once allocation was done, do you think the oxygen will be supplied at your doorstep? When the allocation was done 3 days back, what did your government do to arrange the distribution of oxygen to hospitals? It clearly castigated the Aam Aadmi Party and the Delhi government under the aegis of Arvind Kejriwal, saying that the arrangement of cryogenic tankers and infrastructure needed to take the oxygen that is supplied by the central government to different hospitals so that patients don't cry out for help is the responsibility of the Delhi government. So the Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson can sit here on national television, she can whine, she can fret, she can fume. But the fact of the matter is that today's castigation of the Delhi government by the High Court, no less, clearly puts the ball in the court of Arvind Kejriwal. His incompetence, his lies, his gross criminal apathy and criminal lethargy have been publicly documented, and if Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson continues to defend the Delhi government's incompetence, she's running foul of contempt of court.
No, but
yes, the Modi government has to supply
having said,
but
Sanju Verma, let me come in here.
Let me come in here. Responsibility of Modi government.
One second, Sanju Verma.
Is a state subject.
Sanju Verma, let me come in here. Let me come in here.
Disaster management.
Please, Sanju Verma.
Please go back and
Sanju Verma.
Sanju Verma,
do you know who heads the Delhi Disaster Management Authority? Are you aware who heads the Delhi Disaster Management Authority? For your kind information, let me inform you. It is the LG, who is the appointee of the central government. Where is the Lieutenant Governor missing, ma'am? When your government takes away powers from the state government of Delhi and you'd want the Chief Minister who is elected by the people, his powers to be given to the Lieutenant Governor, where is the Lieutenant Governor today? Why is he not involved in the thick of things coordinating between the center and the state?
Let me now come to your question very pointedly. Who is the head of the Disaster Management Authority? It is Anil Baijal, the LG. But you forget one thing, Madhav, that even today the court said that as things stand today, it is public order, police and land. These are the three things that the LG directly controls. Disaster management, as everybody understands without getting into semantics and convoluting facts, is the prerogative of the Delhi government. Logistics is the prerogative of the Delhi government. Has Arvind Kejriwal sacked?
Ma'am, why could the LG not approach the center for the tankers? Simple question. Yes, Kejriwal is wrong. Slam Kejriwal. The court has slammed Mr. Kejriwal's government. What is the LG doing? Please tell me. What has the LG done? You please tell me, what has the LG done?
Sorry, supplying
what has the Lieutenant Governor done? I'm asking you a pointed question.
She's had a long speech enough. Now
ensuring that
ma'am, this person who is the Lieutenant Governor should have been there coordinating. People of Delhi are dying and you are engaging in a blame game here. This is what is really disgusting. This is what is got the citizens of this country absolutely riled up. This kind of blame game, absolutely no responsibility being taken, ladies and gentlemen, by either the Aam Aadmi Party or the BJP. Let me also tell you, madam. Let me also ask you, Sanju Verma. One second. Please calm down. I want both our panelists to please calm down. Otherwise, I'm going to lower both the faders. We are not interested in listening at this kind of passing of buck blame game. I'm asking questions of both the Aam Aadmi Party and the BJP. Let me tell you, Sanju Verma, the central government has not covered itself in glory either. A few days ago, you had the Commerce Minister in charge of the distribution of oxygen coming out and publicly saying that states have to manage their supply. What kind of a ridiculous comment is that? You expect states to manage supply? This should have been planned long ago. A second wave is something that was well known.
States have to manage the infrastructure, which is cryogenic tankers. Even that the Modi government is doing. Are you aware that
states have to manage oxygen demand? He is being quoted saying that states have to manage their demand, madam. At the time of a pandemic, is this what you expect from a central minister?
Are you aware 150 metric tons of oxygen has been made available to states via Oxygen Express in the last 24 hours alone? Center is not shying away from
that may be the case, but why is it happening last minute? Why is Delhi even going through this crisis? If there is so much oxygen, the last minute connectivity should have also been thought of, Sanju Verma.
So why are you not Aam Aadmi Party. That is what a Delhi court told Arvind Kejriwal.
I asked them the question. I am asking, what has the central government done? People want answers from central government also. The central government has not covered itself in glory. I'm sorry. I have asked Kejriwal the question. I will ask you the question also as a BJP spokesperson, because you have failed the people of this country. 20 people have died in the Jaipur Golden Hospital in the last 24 hours due to the lack of oxygen, and you have a government lawyer coming out in court and saying nobody has died. People are lying in courts today. I am sorry, Sanju Verma. Your government too has failed. It is Kejriwal government completely failed. The central government has also failed. No government has covered itself in glory, because people of Delhi, do you know how difficult it is to get oxygen in Delhi today? Do you know how difficult it is to get beds in Delhi today? You are sitting here and passing the buck because politicians who should be doing their job for the past 6 months have not done that. And this is why citizens in this country are right up, Sanju Verma. Do not argue. Do not argue and make these ridiculous points on national television. Citizens are completely incensed today because of this kind of political buck passing that you're doing. Let us not pass the buck. Let's admit that mistakes have been made by politicians of every hue. Politicians and governments at state, central level have completely failed the citizen of this country today. So please do not engage in this kind of ridiculous blame game, tu, meh. People have had enough of it. Enough of it. This is enough of it, Sanju Verma. People have had enough of it. Kejriwal will blame BJP, BJP will blame Aam Aadmi Party, they will blame further the Congress Party. People are dying on the streets of Delhi. Are you aware what's happening in the national capital?
Because he said everybody...
I have asked them, madam, please don't teach me who to ask and who not to ask. I started the show asking them questions, and I will ask them questions of you also, because people are completely fed up today of what politicians of all hues are doing in national television. This is ridiculous. Ridiculous claims. And I'm going to expose each and every politician who makes ridiculous claims like this on national television, because people are absolutely fed up of this. This is a systemic breakdown, and this is a systemic breakdown that was completely avoidable. We all know the global experience of coronavirus. Politicians were underprepared. People were more keen on public gatherings. People were more keen on political rallies. People were not prepared for the infrastructure or the oxygen load or the hospital bed load or the medicine load. That is the truth of the facts, Sanju Verma. You also have to take responsibility for it. Your party also has to. Don't run away. Don't shy away from that responsibility. By arguing like this, you are only making your own parties and your own government's image worse. So please, for the moment, I will lower your fader, because I think we've had enough of this kind of blame game. I want to go across to other panelists now. Sumansi Raman, we have an unfortunate spectacle in Delhi today, because you have the Aam Aadmi Party government that says we did nothing wrong. We wanted the doorstep delivery of oxygen. You have the BJP says that oxygen is available. We have thousands of tons of oxygen. Delhi government did not collect it. The poor man on the street is choking today. There are no hospital beds. Hospitals are turning people out of the premises because they cannot treat them. Doctors are crying on national television. And this is the kind of blame game that we have in the national capital.
Madhav, anybody who has watched this debate for the last 20 minutes knows why the problem is not getting solved. Both the sides seem more keen on embarrassing the other than actually supplying the oxygen to those who are dying. And I think that this is absolutely disgusting. And I think that the people of Delhi are watching both these parties. And I'm telling you this, that if there is some conscience left in them, they should say, to hell with politics for the next few weeks. Let us work together as a team and make this happen and get oxygen to those who are dying because of lack of it. Look, people dying of COVID is one thing. People dying because medical infrastructure and oxygen is not available is a crime. It is a crime in any civilized society. And I think that it is awful to see the likes of Sanju Verma and Preeti Menon trying to do a tutu meme on this entire issue. Okay, the first day, understandable, they were probably caught unawares. It is now the 4th or 5th day. Hospitals cannot go on making SOS every 3 hours and 4 hours. It is simply draining on their staff. And the uncertainty of the patients, not knowing whether they will be asked to shift out at short notice. Where do you take a patient who needs oxygen if you don't even know if he'll get a bed outside? I mean, what kind of nonsense is this? And I think the people of this country who are watching must see how these two political parties are playing with the lives of the people. I'm sorry, but that's the only way to put it. They are playing with the lives of the people. The time now is to not bother about whether it is your territory or mine, but to bother about reaching oxygen to the mask of every single patient who needs it. Nothing more, nothing less. And they can take their political games and play with them for the rest of their lives after this pandemic is solved. I'm really sorry, Madhav, but it anguishes everyone in this country.
I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't agree with you more because that's exactly how I feel. I feel so helpless as a citizen today. I can tell you. I've been getting calls from people for oxygen, for medicine, for hospital beds. There is no infrastructure anywhere in the Delhi NCR. There are, in fact, parts of NCR where people have been told not to admit people. That's the pathetic situation that we're in right now. And here you have tutu meme between Delhi government and the central government. Ridiculous. Shehzad Poonawala, politics being played over dead bodies of the Aam Aadmi in the national capital. Is this acceptable?
Madhav, today I want to channelize your very legitimate anger and Sumansi Raman's very legitimate cynicism and ask four very pointed questions, one of each political party in this panel, and to ensure that not pandemic is kept over politics. Dearest spokesperson of Aam Aadmi Party, I have a letter of Inox, one of the major suppliers of oxygen. They have written that 45 hospitals they have to supply oxygen in Delhi. You have not given clarity on 28, because of which the last mile logistics is hampered. Point number two that they have asked is the Delhi High Court has asked that you are given funds for 8 PSAs. You have only cleared the site clearance only for one, and now finally you have given for 2, because of which only 3 can become active by April 30th. The remaining 5 are inactive. To the BJP spokesperson, I want to ask Ms. Sanju Verma, EG2 was constituted. Can you please tell us that under the aegis of EG2, which has center and state representatives, did you not give them the proper information about where they have to get their oxygen supplies and how to create the green corridor or use the railways or other facilities so that they could get it back to their states? Today they are crying, "Hamare paas tanker nahi, hamare paas ye nahi." What was done in that EG2? And finally, to my dear friend Mr. Sumansi Raman, who also has very good affection for Congress Party, oxygen bhi pahuncha diya, sab cheez de bhi di Maharashtra mein, Nashik aur Virar to fir bhi hua, sir. Who's been accountable there? Sir, I hope you will ask for accountability from them.
Of course, I will ask for accountability.
I think there is no question about it, Shehzad Poonawala, cutting across political lines. Everyone has to respond. All right, quick respond. Yes, that is the order of the day. Everyone, every elected leader today who is accountable to his electorate has to answer for why they have failed them. And I'm going to ask the pointed question that Shehzad has raised to the BJP spokesperson before I go across to Riju Datta. 3 points that I want you to answer on. A, the EG2 has made this very clear observation, Sanju Verma, that there needs to be infrastructure that has to be put in place. Secondly, a parliamentary committee had recommended on oxygen that the infrastructure needs to be ramped up. And thirdly, Sanju Verma, there was also a Maharashtra government letter that was written in March. All these 3 red flags were ignored by the centre. Can you explain why?
Okay. Madhav, you raised some valid points and so did Shehzad. I will quickly tell you, and please now listen when I answer without, rebutting me right in the middle. First and foremost, from the DCGI Secretariat.
Ma'am, nobody rebutted you right in the middle. You've got as much time as everyone else. So please don't think I'm rebutting only you.
Yeah, so please
you will not get any special treatment here.
Please stop butting in and let me answer.
No, when you tell lies, you will be called out, as will all panelists.
Yeah, and you are not the gospel of truth. You're not the gospel of truth, so stop taking a high moral ground.
Of course I am. Ma'am, if you don't want to participate in this debate, please don't participate. Don't come here and insult me, okay? Sanju Verma, if you don't want to participate, please get out right now. Please get out of this debate right now. If you think that I am not being fair, please get out right now. I do not want to tolerate you 1 minute longer and your cynicism. Because people have had enough of this kind of ridiculous behavior. This kind of ridiculous behavior. Madam, no, what do you mean you have the audacity to listen? You have to answer the people of this country, not me. I am channelizing the anger of the people of this country. If you can't get that into your head, it's your problem, not mine. And since you have absolutely no answer and only want to dodge and divert, let me put this question. Sorry, madam. Madam, sorry. Either you apologize for your comment. That you believe I'm not the gospel of truth, or please leave the show. Either you apologize or leave the show. Either apologize or leave the show.
Apologize to me.
Apologize or leave the show.
Apologize to me. You have been equally.
I'm not going to apologize for you at all. For any one thing that I've done wrong, you need to apologize. And since you are not apologizing, your fader will be lowered. I don't want you at all on this debate right now. I'm going to take this question across to Riju Datta.
Avoid discussing the topic. She's doing it purposely
Yes,
to avoid discussing
I'm
the
sure.
topic.
I'm sure. I'm
the
sure,
reason
but
why
I don't
she's
want to
doing
waste any more time on this debate. I want to point this question across to Riju Datta as well. Riju Datta, the Trinamool Congress also does the same thing. You're also engaging in politics. Centre wants to steal our oxygen. What kind of behavior is this, sir? Elected representatives behaving this way for a life-saving product such as oxygen?
Madhav, see, you have raised a very pertinent question, and what I am seeing, what the world has seen in the last half an hour is the main crux of the problem. The central government, the BJP spokesperson clearly said health is a state subject, disaster management state subject, arranging for tanker state subject. So, bhai, central government किस लिए है? आपको भी तो accountability लेना है. This arrogance, this ego, this complete negligence is what the problem is. In our state, we get our oxygen supply. Thank God we are not in as bad as a state in a situation like Delhi or Maharashtra. But we get our oxygen supply from SAIL. Now, SAIL has categorically told the West Bengal government that even though we will give you your share, but we are in the pressure from the central government to divert our oxygen to Uttar Pradesh. Now, you tell me, Madhav, our state demand is 700 metric tons. अभी उसमें से अगर आप मुझे नहीं दोगे, and the situation is getting bad to worse on a daily basis. The cases are rising. If Delhi-like situation happens in Bengal, the CM of Bengal
Riju Datta,
the people of Bengal, right?
Riju Datta, respectfully, sir, can I ask you a simple question? Can I ask you a very basic question? Are we Indians first or are we Bengalis, UPites, Delhiites, Punjabis first? When people are choking to death in Delhi, what kind of a ridiculous argument are you making? You can keep that oxygen if you need it. When people in other parts of the country are literally choking to death, you're going to politicize it?
No, Madhav, with all due respect, out of our demand of 750 metric tons, we do not have that. We do not. If we have extra, why will we not send it to Delhi? We do not have extra, and our supply chain is telling us that they cannot send us extra. You have to understand that. We do not have extra, neither we are getting the full quota of it. That is what the problem lies, Madhav.
Shehzad, is that borne out by facts? Is what Riju saying borne out by facts, Shehzad Poonawala?
No, absolutely not, because this is the worst kind of politics is oxygen parochialism. Odisha does not have excess, but it is still willing to send whatever it can. It is trying to help in the national cause. And imagine, Madhav, in this country, we did not make PPE kits and N95. Some states were manufacturing it. Had they said we don't have enough, we won't send to Bengal, would Bengal have been able to fight? Can we fight this battle as Bengalis, South Indians, North Indians, East Indians, West Indians? Madhav, we have to fight this battle as all Indians against COVID. Secondly, why didn't the state governments take the opportunity given by DGCI to set up the PSA plants and to set up the oxygen manufacturing plants on their own? Why haven't they done that? Gujarat and Karnataka did it. Maharashtra did some. So why did other states not do it? And madam, I want to ask the spokesperson of Aam Aadmi Party, why can't you give clarity to INOX about which hospitals it has to take the oxygen to? Why are you not clearing those farmers who are trying to block it on the border?
Pointed question to Preeti Sharma Menon. I'm going to let her respond to that. Preeti Sharma Menon, when Kerala could do it, when other opposition states, other BJP ruled states have fulfilled several of their targets as far as building oxygen plants are concerned, why has Delhi failed so miserably to do that? That's a pointed question, as well as why INOX has not been given a clear plan as to where to supply oxygen. Please answer those two questions.
So, question number one. Delhi is not an industrial state. It never produced oxygen. But when the COVID crisis happened, the central government decided that they will set up production plants in Delhi. They decided to set up 180 production plants all across the country on funds which they got from the PM CARE. And from the PM CARE funds, the 140 contract that was given as late as October, so the funds were given to them in March, they collected 3,000 crores. But only 200 crores were set aside in October, out of which 8 were allotted to Delhi. And please let us be very clear, Delhi government was not asked to build these plants. Delhi government was only asked to provide land for these plants, and the land has been provided. We have followed. I did not interrupt Shehzad when he was speaking. I think he should keep quiet. Please be calm. I did not interrupt your live when you spoke. Now you please listen to me. So the Delhi government gave land for those 8 plants.
Quickly make a point. Preeti, make a point.
Delhi government gave land for those 8 plants, and the central government did not make it because their contractor ran away. He made one plant and he has run away from all the 140 contracts that he got. He has completed only 15 and they are also not complete. Their contractor ran away. They made the tender. They made the payment.
The contractor ran away.
Plants and they didn't. The central government contractor, okay? They were making the plants.
The blame is on the centre. The blame is on the centre. The centre is running away from its responsibility. Shehzad Poonawalla.
That is one. And the second thing is that the Delhi management and dispersal of oxygen is happening as well.
1 second, ma'am. You made a point. Listen to the response. I'm coming to that. I'm coming to the second point. Let him respond to this first. You've made a point, Preeti Sharma Menon. I'm getting a response and then I'll come back to you. Shehzad.
This is not fair. Madhavdas is the one who covers a lot of courts. He has seen the Delhi High Court order, para number 15. The fact is that 8 plants were sanctioned, funds were given, but only 2 hospitals, Satyavadi Raja Harishchandra and Vardhaman Mahavir, gave the site clearance. The remaining were not given. And therefore, compliance report has been demanded by the courts from you for giving the site clearance. Forget the contractor. You do your job, no, madam. You do your job of giving the 45 hospitals clarity कि कहाँ से ऑक्सीजन मिलेगा आइनॉक्स को बता दीजिए आप संजू वर्मा बहुत बुरी है भाई उनको छोड़ दीजिए मोदी एंड संजू वर्मा the worst people on earth. Now you do your job.
Please firstly under Shehzad's name write BJP spokesperson. Secondly, let's just clearly say
Madam, you write spokesperson of advertising. You claim that you are the advertising agency because you only work for advertising agencies only giving ads.
Oxygen. They can make statues, they can make buildings, but they cannot make plants. And please let us health is a state issue. This is a pandemic. The Pandemic Act is enforced. The Disaster Management Act is enforced. The central
Madam, there are several questions. There are several questions, but we have very limited time. I'm going to get a quick closing comment from Sumansi Raman, and then we're going to wrap up this debate. Sumansi Raman.
Look, Madhav, what is needed is a concerted effort. I don't think anybody doubts that. And for God's sake, the Delhi government and the union government have got to sit together and resolve this whole issue. You cannot have.
There is Lucknow MP.
1 minute. Let me finish. Let me finish.
Because there is no oxygen.
Preeti Menon, please don't shout over others. Please don't shout over others, Preeti Menon. This is not correct. You cannot hector everyone, please. No. You've made your point. Let others also come in. I cannot have one person dominate this debate like this. Preeti Sharma Menon, calm down. Please calm down. Otherwise, I'll be forced to lower your fader. I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm lowering your fader. Sumansi Raman.
Madhav, the point is there is a crisis in multiple states. Multiple states face shortages of oxygen. This is not going to get solved in a day just by, making some temporary arrangements. Right now, as we see it, they are putting out a fire which is burning very bright. And once they start extinguishing this, there are 3 fires starting somewhere else. So again, they go there, they extinguish this. By the time this fire starts burning again, this is what is happening. Hospitals are getting, okay, you are in crisis. Patients are huge risk. Okay, 3 hours you keep oxygen. And some oxygen arrives. And again, 4 hours later, they're again taking to Twitter. They're making desperate phone calls. This is not a permanent solution. They need to find a way to fix it. And they need to find a way to fix it really fast. And that is not going to happen if the center says, we have given you oxygen, too bad, you didn't have trucks to transport it. The state says, no, you didn't give us the quantity of oxygen that you said you would give. I mean, this is ridiculous. The people don't care. Whether it's
unfortunately, that's what's playing out. Unfortunately, that's what's playing out.
That is the tragedy. That is the tragedy of this country.
When are we going to see the crisis be resolved? As a spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party, can you assure the people of Delhi by when will Delhiites have to stop gasping for breath?
I'm afraid that I can't give a time, but I can assure them that the Delhi government, the Chief Minister and the entire Delhi government is working very hard to resolve this crisis. We are working night and day trying to get oxygen from whatever other sources we can, besides the ones that have been allocated to us. We've been allocated oxygen from plants in Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Odisha, and even Bengal. But we haven't yet got that supply. We've got some supply from UP and Haryana. We are reaching out to other states. We do not own cryogenic tankers. They can only be imported by the central government. But we are trying to get them, procure them, as the High Court has instructed us to do. Doing the last mile from the one station Delhi to the hospital is our responsibility, and whatever lacunae are there in that, we will fix it. Whatever the doctors in the show earlier said, That's our responsibility to fix. We will fix it. But let us be very clear: the central government has abdicated.
Unfortunately, ma'am, the time for homilies is over. The time for lip service is long gone. What we need now is action on ground. Unfortunately, action on ground is not happening. And that is the tragedy on the scale of which is being seen, and it only can be seen in Delhi to be believed what exactly is going on. 5 days after an alarm is sounded, the center and state governments failed to provide oxygen to the people of Delhi. It doesn't matter who ordered the tankers. It doesn't matter who has the supply in which state. What has mattered is that people are dying in Delhi. Hospitals are sending out SOS after SOS after SOS. One truck comes, another truck comes, they all get over. People in these hospitals who are in critical condition are losing their lives. If people still want to play politics, if people still want to score points, then it is only shameful. That is all one can say as far as the terrible and terrifying spectacle that one is seeing in Delhi today. Delhi today is a system that is completely broken. It is a system that has completely failed its citizens who are demanding answers, who are demanding accountability. The only thing that we are getting in turn are these arrogant replies by our politicians who are complete failures in every respect. Citizens need to decide what really needs to be done about these people. I leave the debate on that note.
The News Hour Special Edition will be right back